La-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da, all good pals and jolly good company. Hey!
Hello Gooners and welcome to the Gooner Family Podcast. My name's Rich.
I'm Danny.
I'm Mike. I'm Stu. I'm Wolfie.
And it's Wolfie's debut today, aka Shitty Fingers, so we welcome him along. He does have some knowledge of Arsenal, but I would say his toilet habits are more legendary than that.
Cheap gold girl.
So welcome along, John. Obviously, this has been a bit of a while since our last podcast, over a month. So apologies for that, but we took a bit of a winter break. A bit of Christmas with the family, and obviously, enjoying watching Arsenal have a really good festive period. So, 4 wins, 1 draw. I'm happy with that, lads. What do you think?
A standout performance was Newcastle, wasn't it? That 7 goals. That was incredible.
The last 20 minutes, yeah, when they got 3-3.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was a pretty tricky situation at 3-3, and if I'm being honest, I think that could have went either way that game. But again, the man Theo stepped up and had the nice hat-trick.
It was a classic thing though, sort of every chance that Newcastle seemed to get every time they got in a half. It was like they scored, But
it's like that with every team that comes to the Arsenal, though, isn't it? When we're at home, you panic, don't you? You whenever that ball gets put in our box, you think they're going to score.
I've never seen anyone panic more than Rich. Every time the opposing team gets the ball, Rich seems to go into meltdown mode, and everyone is sitting there nice and calm, and Rich is proper throwing his toys out of the pram.
You can actually hear him from block 3.
Well, it does drive me mad. Particularly the guys that sit behind us, though, because they're like the boo boys. So any excuse for them to start booing, it drives me potty.
You got Pink Hat as well, haven't you? There,
Pink Hat, yeah. She sits, bless her.
To be fair,
in front.
She's never booed, has she? She's always.
Yeah, she just grasses me up to stewards, and I'll get warnings.
Shout out to Pink Hat.
Yeah. So we had a really good Christmas period. Would you say the Newcastle game was your standout game?
That goal from Walcott was quite incredible. It was amazing.
His hat-trick goal.
Yeah.
You must have a good view from where you sit.
Yeah, well, I had a very good view from on the couch watching it.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Same thing.
She's only been to one game, you see.
Oh, yeah. More podcasts than games.
Probably true, actually.
John, what was your take on the festive period? How do you think we played?
Well, I thought we was a bit. I just worried about our fullbacks just getting caught out and around that area all the time. I just getting really worried about it. Sagna doesn't look like he's playing that well.
Sagna's had a bad couple of games actually.
Well, I think yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of call, isn't there, in terms of he's going to come up to a contract issue in the summer, and I think that's starting to maybe play on his mind a little bit.
One of the stupidest things I said was, I'll come on to the Southampton game a bit later, but I had the joy of going down there with Alex. But before the game, I said it's unusual for Sagna to have a bad game. Was it against Newcastle? He was particularly poor against Newcastle.
Yeah.
I said unusual for him to have a bad game. There's no way he'll have 2 bad games on the trot.
Yeah.
And against Southampton, he was shocking. I mean, defensively, I don't think he was as bad, but going forward, he was a liability. And there was one bit where the guy passed it to him, and he just rolled under his foot and went out for a throw. And I don't know if you heard it on the telly, but there were boos. He was getting booed.
But there was a standout mistake of him passing it back into the middle for the Southampton goal.
Yeah, there was. That's 2 goals though, both like that, Everton and Southampton. Where, to be fair, he's actually trying to make a clearance, but he's cleared it because he can't use his left foot. He's gone with his right and kicked it back across goal.
Our formation is puts the fullbacks under terrible exposure, in my opinion. Like the way we play, they have to be the fittest players at the club, our fullbacks, because they get no protection whatsoever. Absolutely no protection.
But even Gibbs going forward was good, but he got caught out against Newcastle.
Yeah,
Newcastle was at fault for 2 of the goals.
Two of the goals he was at fault for. I thought Gibbs.
And obviously the opposite end of the scale was against was it Swansea, who scored that great goal.
I thought it was man of the match.
Man of the match, and then they give it to was it Michu?
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Straight on.
That's
ITV all over.
Yeah.
Shocking.
But you had to. I was voting. You had to call in for their man of the match, don't you?
Yeah. Or something, yeah. And
So you would have got when Michu scored. You would have had a load of Swansea fans tweeting him as man of the match, or keep ringing him for him as man of the match. And then
is it ITV or ESPN?
Was it
ESPN?
ESPN? Oh, was it ESPN?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
They're all the
'cause
same.
I,
all the same to me.
I had a little
Rubbish.
a little Twitter spat with Ian McIntosh, who's one of the directors on ESPN, over Twitter, and he was sort of basically just not talking about the game, but talking about comments about the ticket prices and stuff, which we're going to talk about later. But it was just a trend of ESPN employees coming out with ridiculous statements. It was how noticeable was it that Craig Burley's tune changed when we started dominating the second half. In the first half, to him, we were like the scum of the earth. Do you know what I mean? We're like overpaid, prima donnas, couldn't say anything worse about the club, and then we get back in the game, we take the lead, and then he's kissing our arse. ESPN, I hope when BT take it over next year that none of that lot get taken on.
Who've BT got? Have they got Jake Humphrey, haven't they?
Is it Gary Lineker?
And Gary Lineker. Who's Jake? I think Jake Humphrey has got them to BT, hasn't he?
Has
he?
He is him. He used to be the F1 guy.
Yeah.
that's him.
But Gary Lineker's gone as well, hasn't he?
I think he might be going Gary Lineker as
And
well.
Lee Dixon as well, has he gone?
Yeah, might have done, yeah.
He's at ITV at the moment now. So.
But yeah, ESPN, I just think absolutely shocking.
It means more Lineker.
I can't stand it.
it.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Like literally, I want to launch myself through the TV screen. I can't stand the geezer.
He can't be. He's not no worse than Hanson Lawrenson, though.
I loved. I think we touched on it before. I don't know if we did, but I loved the way Rigo cut him down at the Sports Personality of the Year thing.
Yeah,
I loved it. It put him right in his place.
What's
Can't remember what he said now, but he just cut him down. He's saying about makeup.
yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Cut him
Yeah.
down. I loved it. Loved it.
So yeah, quality.
No.
All right, well, that's our little sort of discussion. One thing, what do you think about the over the festive period, the postponement of the West Ham game? Again, the club got a lot of grief over that. Which, let's be honest, it's not the club that postpones matches; it's the local authorities. So the police basically
said
that. Yeah, because and the argument around, I think Fulham played at home, didn't they, on Boxing Day?
Yeah.
How many did they get? 25,000.
Yeah.
60,000 people.
It's too bob, isn't it?
You've got 60,000 people, all moving into one area with no public transport.
My argument about it was though that they're in a bit pansy about it. They could have put the game ahead if things like Islington Council had said we're going to suspend parking, like Westminster did, right? If they had said we're going to suspend parking regulations,
Definitely.
If they said we're going to lay on some buses, if they said, look, the game is going ahead, you must make sure you give yourself plenty of time to get there. It's got to give enough notice that the game could have gone ahead. Things like the staff, they said, look, you're going to have to leave earlier to get into work that day. The thing is, tubes were running as well. I know they were running slowly, every 10 minutes or whatever, but they were running.
But it's not an Arsenal issue, is it? It's a local authority issue.
This is it.
What the local authorities can do.
I think that when they're all sitting around the table together, was there anyone there who was desperate for that game to go ahead? I think maybe they all kind of
Fancy Boxing Day off.
Yeah, I think they all kind of patted each other on the back and said, "Oh, don't worry about this one. Will it's easier to call it off. It's easier to call it off than it is for it to go ahead." I think that's what it come down to. So I was gutted. I really wanted it. I'm missing these Boxing Day games. How many is that we've missed now in a row?
2004, we haven't had a home game.
Joke.
So in the new stadium, we haven't played
on
Boxing Day at home. No, and a lot of that is down to tube strikes.
Yeah, and let's be honest. If there wasn't a tube strike, the game would have gone ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. So,
from a selfish point of view, I was unable to go to the West Ham game, so it suited me.
Same here. I was quite pleased.
I was gutted. I was going, but the thing is that they've moved it back now to the end of January again, when people
I think it's 23rd of January, Wednesday the 23rd,
which is just before people were getting paid on a 6 week thing. People generally got paid before Christmas. January's a long month. and they're putting it back to the back end of January when people.
Well, it's either they haven't actually. Is it the 23rd definitely? Because it's either the 23rd or 26th.
I think it is the 23rd.
It depends on the replays, don't it?
No, I think it is the 23rd.
Is it definitely the 23rd?
Yeah.
It's on the calendar.
Yeah.
But the whole
Because
point is though that if you paid for your ticket already, that's still valid. So
That's true,
I wonder how many people would
That's
have given their ticket back. I mean, funny enough, the game hadn't sold out in the first place.
No.
Because I guess there's a lot of uncertainty about the tube strike and that. But
Yeah, it's Boxing Day as well, though. People want to spend time with their families, don't they?
The thing about that was really bugged me was Martin Tyler slagging us off doing the commentary. I can't think which game now, but just kept on going on about us getting an advantage over other
Southampton
teams.
game, I think.
It was Southampton.
Yeah, it
game,
was
yeah, that's
Southampton game.
Yeah, because he was talking about the Newcastle game. That we had an advantage in the last 10-15 minutes because we had a game postponed.
That's rubbish.
I know.
Absolute rubbish. What about the occasions when at the moment, because of that, so we're playing today, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, so we've got 5 games in, 15 days?
Yeah.
So, it's not like, you don't have to play the game at some point. You've still got to play it. So, we've got big fixture congestion coming up.
But someone like Wenger gets slagged off for using European games as a disadvantage for players getting tired, and then there's someone who's just done exactly the same thing for league matches for other teams.
Yeah, no, it's one rule for one and one rule for us, mate. I'm telling you, and stuff like that.
Well, no, it is. I mean, how many times when we have a Champions League, our fixtures are released, our next home game is always an away game after a Champions League game away from Europe, and Man United is always home. They're away in Europe in the week. They're at home the weekend. Us, we're away in Europe in the week. We're away again at the weekend. Do you know what I mean? And how many? I've never known us to have that run like Man United do, and Chelsea sometimes, where they have all them home games.
I think there was one season where we did, and that was the season that Mourinho piped up about it and said, we're away every game in Arsenal. And of course, then the press made a big thing about it because Mourinho said it, and they're like, look, Arsenal's at home after every game. And then, of course, what happened ever since then? We're away.
6 years, maybe, yeah.
Oh. Right. Okay, let's move on. Drinks with Gazidis over Christmas. I was lucky enough to attend it with the Foggle. Me and the Foggle actually got an invite to go. And do you know what? It was a really good night. I think because of the weather, because I think the weather was pretty grim at that time, not everyone turned up. So that's all right because we got more free drinks. But whatever your thoughts are on Ivan Gazidis, he stood there in the room for 2 hours, answering questions solidly, just like basically within a foot of the person that was asking the question.
It was the same as the Q&A when me and Alex went. He hung around after that and answered loads of questions for quite some time, face to face with people.
Well, he was face to face with people. He wasn't given the questions in advance. He answered a lot of the questions there and then.
Sorry, boys, we're just having a beer.
So we'll wait until they've finished opening their beers up. So for me, personally, I didn't ask him a question, but I stood round the little sort of circle that was surrounding him and listening to what he was saying. And it was interesting to what he was saying about some of the transfers. So he was talking about obviously Van Persie and Kagawa at Man United, and he was talking about the fact that Man City offered Van Persie $300,000 a week.
Yeah.
But he turned it down to go Man United, and he's on $200,000 a week. Poor bloke. But interestingly, Gazidis said that the image rights that Van Persie will pick up from Man United will dwarf that $300,000 a week. So the sort of the extra endorsements he gets, i.e., out of all the players you thought would have a Beats advert, it would have been Van Persie, would you?
No.
Do you know what I mean? No. But there he is. He's on Beats headphones advert. Shortly after he's signed for Man United.
Yeah.
So the endorsements he's going to receive for sponsorships is going to dwarf that $300,000 a week. And the same with Kagawa. He said exactly the same about Kagawa. That's how Man United managed, to get Kagawa, because the endorsements, their individual endorsements will increase.
Is that where we missed David Dean, do you think?
I don't think so. I know David Dean done a great job for the club, but I think people have still got to remember he still took his 80 million quid out of the club.
Yeah.
We talk about the board and they don't care about the club or whatever,
But on the flip side of that, there's players that have gone that arguably might still be at the club if Dean had been there. Do you know what I mean? Because that negotiating thing that he was very good at that.
Possibly, he's a well-respected man.
But remember, though, the whole exodus kind of started with the old Ashley Cole thing, and that was through Dean, because it was Dean who wouldn't.
Vieira.
Yeah, you've got to remember Dean wasn't at the Emirates, so he always had Highbury. We had we weren't paying for a stadium at the same time, so negotiations was different.
Yeah.
So
that's why it was opposed to the move, wasn't
it? Yeah. He wanted to have the freedom of not being tied back by
financial
stadium. Yeah.
So, but it was a great evening, and met some top gooners that night as well, and the Foghorn was the Foghorn.
Oh, the Foghorn. was he going on again about his Vermaelens?
He was going on about his Vermaelen
rest as
captaincy, to which every person said that you can't do that, but he still insisted that should happen.
Oh dear.
So yeah, we had that, and then obviously, the Foghorn went home, and then I carried on drinking with a few more guys, the missus weren't too happy because I didn't get into about 1 in the morning. But I was having a drink in the Tollington with a few of the gooners, and it was a good night, a very good night.
You've got a shout out, haven't you? Yeah,
I met actually a really, really nice bloke, and I had a real good chat with him. His name was Kelvin. He's known on Twitter as Reg Blackscarf. Obviously, we've had some issues with Blackscarf. But one thing I learnt me that night actually is when you talk to someone face to face and you actually hear what they've got to say, and you understand what their issues are. It was a good conversation to have, and Kelvin was very, very passionate about ticket prices over the Arsenal. And let's be honest, if Blackscarf are able to influence Arsenal reducing their ticket prices, I think everyone will be happy with that. So I just wanted to say, hello to Kelvin. He's at Reg Blackscarf on Twitter. It was a great chatting to you, and it was a great sort of having a beer with you and meeting you one to one, really. So cheers for that.
Did you have sex afterwards?
Not really, no.
Thank God for that. It sounded like it was going that way for me.
And so we had a really good beer, and one thing led to another.
But no.
Ticket prices are still up.
Ticket prices are still high. But yeah, but again, just closing on the drinks with Gazidis stuff. The club don't need to do stuff like that, and they choose to, and they do. And I think all good to them. Granola was there, was answering questions as well, and Tom Fox was there as well. So they proper put themselves in the bear pit. It was bearing in mind it was the day after we got knocked out to Bradford.
Yeah.
Very, there was some emotion flying about the room as well. So all I say is fair play to them for doing that.
Can I just give a little shout out as well? Not a shout out, but just want to mention that the Tuesday Club and the guys from Bantam's Banter, the Bradford podcast boys, put on a really good joint podcast. I don't know if you've heard that, but check it out.
I heard it was hilarious.
It was a good live podcast during the game, and it was a joint podcast between Tuesday Club and Bantam's Banter.
And the follow-up one,
it was good. I don't know if I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
the follow-up one in the van was funny as well.
Oh no, I am.
Yeah.
You could hear the traffic whizzing past.
Cool. All right. Well, Mike, you had a pleasant trip to Southampton on New Year's Day.
Yeah. One thing I didn't want to forget. Actually, I've been to Southampton quite a few times, not for football, but for other reasons, and sometimes gets caught up in traffic. I had a lovely drive down there. It took not just over 2 hours to get there. My dad at one point decided to follow sat-nav when really he shouldn't have done, and I said, look, I work with computers, don't trust them. But he did, and we went on a bit of a detour through some country lanes. Don't ask me how, but we did. But no, we got there. It was a nice journey. Ended up in a Pitcher and Piano, which was like literally a 10-15 minute walk away, and I was astounded that we was drinking out of glass. I can't remember.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember the last time I've been to a pub before a game right next to the stadium, and we were drinking out of glass. It's like all of a sudden we was treated like human beings
like
again.
Normal people.
Yeah, we were treated like normal people. So that was good. We've got a table in there. Got table service. It was that bit was nice. I probably won't talk that much about the football because it was quite possibly one of the most dire games I've ever been to.
It wasn't great.
The warning signs should have been there when, just as we went through the turnstile locked. And so the steward, who's probably one of the stupidest blokes I've ever met in my life, has said, "I'll just put your ticket in again." "Oh no, it still don't work." "I'll try it again." "No, it's still, you're not getting it, mate. It's not working." So then Alex was behind me. He was like, "You try." I was like, oh. So he then made Alex put his ticket in about 4 times, and it still didn't work. "Oh, I think we've got a problem here." no shit, Sherlock. That was a bit of a warning sign, but it was pretty dire. I mean, the first 10 minutes, it looked like it might be a cricket score because we were literally all over them. Looked like we were going to create chances, and then from then on, we just
every time they went forward, they looked like they was going to score.
They looked like us. And the thing is, to be fair, I thought the defence played all right. There was a couple of times which was just ridiculous. There's one bit in the second half where Southampton were passing the ball so slowly. They were passing the ball even slower than us. Yet they still managed to pass to a guy who was just standing free in the box and who had a shot. And it's like something's wrong there that they can move the ball so slowly yet still have a man free.
But the goal they scored was shocking defending. In my
well,
opinion.
that was it was a calamity, and there was one after another of. I think it all started actually with a pass from I think Arteta to Gibbs, and Gibbs was straight away surrounded by 2 players, and I think he struggled to control it. He then did a pass to someone else. He then had to get rid of it quickly, and it just next thing you know they're through, and then it ended up with our mate Sanya deciding to pass the ball along the box to their bloke to score.
Gonzalez.
Yeah,
He could have put it in a better area.
I tell you what, I mean, we're so lucky we got that own goal. We are so lucky because we just.
It didn't look like
we never ever looked like. Of course, the stuff afterwards. I mean, I'm not saying Gervinho's my favourite player, but I looked checking Twitter afterwards, and most people were having a go at Gervinho, and I was just like, people blinkered to the fact that
everyone
our best team, we had one of our strongest teams out there, and everyone was awful. I mean, Wilshere, he was probably our best player, and he was below average. You know, he missed loads of easy passes, and
I thought Arteta gave the ball away.
It was just a general lack of effort all over the pitch.
Everything seemed slow.
It was slow. It's slow, very slow and pedestrian.
And it just play as a team. It doesn't seem like even when we're defending, we don't seem to be playing as a team. Everything's just so slow and nervous.
Well, you know, that game cried out for Riziki to play, and he didn't bring him on.
It cried out for it to change. But it just
Riziki would have done that.
Yeah,
his busy sort of style, you know, and his passing and retention of the ball would have helped us a hell of a lot in the middle of the pitch. I think Jack Wilshere was kept being drawn over to the wings all the time, and then we had a gaping hole in the middle of the pitch as usual.
I don't know what's wrong with Arshavin, but could he play Cazorla's role?
I think personally, I think there isn't people sort of saying that the reason Arshavin isn't starting or coming on is because of his bonuses that he's on.
What? Sorry.
That kind of the thing is, it makes you wonder. Think. Is he that worried about Arshavin getting injured that he's not going to play him? I don't think so. He's never really done that before. So it's weird that
Arshavin's bonuses are quite high.
Like his appearances and stuff.
Appearances, assists, goals scored.
So there's points on the table.
We know that. We all know that, but you know we don't know the politics.
Well, to say, John, just an interesting point that you made about Cazorla there and Arshavin, because for me. I mean, Cazorla for me goes missing in games a lot, and you don't actually know what he's doing. And it kind of intrigues me that he plays in there, yet he never, ever, or maybe only once or twice played Arshavin there. And I'm like, for me, they're very similar players, very, very similar.
Yeah.
I'm like, so what does Cazorla offer that Wenger sees that Arshavin never did? I mean. Arshavin used to try. Yeah, no, but does Cazorla work that hard? I don't know, because a lot of the time, I mean, this is overly harsh, but a lot of the time he seems to be running away from the ball rather than trying to get involved.
The
in
thing
the game.
is, what I see with Cazorla is sometimes he can receive the ball in a difficult situation down by the touchline. He's got 3 players around him, and he will wriggle out of that. And Arshavin can't do that.
Oh, he could. Of course, he could.
He hasn't. Well, he could, but he hasn't been.
But anyway, look. Either way, both of them aren't what I'd say favourite players of mine. I like Cazorla, but he just needs to be more consistent.
Well, I think he's been.
Jovino's no better than Arshavin.
Yeah, but then why Jovino got the nod in front of Walcott and Walcott's? That's the sort of decision. Sort of, I don't understand that. I don't understand that call. And I don't understand why Arshavin can't play the Cazorla role. That's why.
Well, I think Wenger had the ump with Walcott at the beginning of the season, didn't he, about the contract situation, and he was cutting his nose off to spite his face and benching him, and he realised that actually he needs to play him because we weren't getting the results and we weren't performing that well.
I'd be very, very upset to find out that someone who would benefit the team on the pitch, maybe get some points on the board, wasn't playing because of some sort of financial loophole.
But then, if you look,
that really pissed me off.
But then you look at the other end of things, where you had a player that left last season, like Fabregas, who refused to play.
Why give them bonuses if you don't want them to play?
Well, that's just
why give them appearance bonuses?
It's all part of their contract, isn't it?
Well, then Arsenal stuffed up by giving him that contract.
No, every player has that sort of stuff. All them add-ons as part of their.
You've got to put 11 players out on the pitch at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point is that you're making there. So why are we signing a player to try and save money? That's basically what the point is, and it's of course ridiculous. Should have nothing to do with that. It's about if he's needed, he should play. End of story.
Of course. I completely agree. But anyway, we move on. It's all sort of transfer window, so that's sort of same sort of subject, really. But are we optimistic? Well, obviously, Shamak and Giroud have both gone on loan, which obviously tells you that their wages are too high.
West Ham are not paying the full amount, apparently. Is that
of course they won't.
Of course they're not, and Hanover are either.
Yeah, they're paying half, I think.
So yeah.
Which goes to show some of even the players like Nasri and Van Persie mentioned about players who are being overpaid just to sit.
Well, I think Arsenal have learnt that lesson now. I think obviously the 5 British players that signed up, they got all them signed up on long-term contracts. I think that our mid-range players do get paid too much money.
Yeah.
Ramsey's contract was just an extension, wasn't it? It wasn't an improved offer. So he didn't gain any extra out of his contract.
I don't know.
It was just an extension. It wasn't an improved contract. So I think Arsenal are learning on that front, where they've been stuck with players and unable to sell them.
Who else have we got on loan then? We got Bentner and Denilson.
Yeah.
Denilson
we're
should be signed up.
Paying some of the wages still.
So I think all of our loan, isn't that the whole point of a loan, isn't it?
But Denilson should be going on a permanent move to Sao Paulo this month. The director's come out.
Yes.
The director of Sao Paulo has come out and said that he wants to get Denilson tied down, and that he's hoping to get that done soon.
I don't think there's many people who'd argue with that statement.
No.
But so, who do you think? Are you optimistic that we're going to be purchasing?
Well, I think I'll just get this out to begin with. This whole transfer thing just completely bemuses me because I don't know. I'm not like a kid anymore where I used to know every single player from every single league. I don't know what players are out there now. I even struggled to see, maybe blindly, with blind faith in the team we've got, I struggled to see which players he should be buying to strengthen, what positions need strengthening. So I find it ridiculous. The amount of money that we have got, the amount of money we've got, and the fact that we haven't got someone so far is a bit worrying. It's just like, but we've got the money to buy someone. You're telling me there is no one that we can get who would strengthen us.
Well, it comes to a point where you don't look at top tier. You don't look at top tier because you know you're not going to get them. So you tend to.
Well,
who's your middle tier player?
It's interesting.
Where's your knee choose? For
it's interesting what I was sort of listening to Matt Law and Oliver Holt on Twitter yesterday talking about Aston Villa, and that basically they've gone from. Basically, they were saying they've gone from A to C without going through the B process. So, i.e., what they're saying is they're playing all the youngsters, they're cutting down their wage bill, but they've done it too quickly.
Right.
So they haven't done it in like sort of a systematic way. They've cut it too quickly, and that's the reason why they're flirting with relegation.
They haven't been playing Darren Bent either.
No, and it don't even
bonuses as well. Same reason.
You know, there's all these sort of things that get thrown around. I mean,
yeah, but the Villa thing is again, Villa is a club who spent lots of money to try and get in the Champions League under Martin O'Neill.
Was bankrolled by Randy Lerner. Now it's probably they're tightening the purse strings, but are they tightening them too quickly? You know, and
I don't think they've got much choice though. I don't think they had much choice to, because their wage bill was so high that they had to get it back under control.
But Randy Lerner's just sold one of his businesses for $1 billion.
Yeah, but that doesn't automatically have to go back.
I know that, but he's not short of a few quid.
No.
So if you're in a position where the club you own is in danger of relegation, then particularly this season, you don't want to go down this season because of the TV money next year.
That's true.
You've got to protect your assets, surely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, and it comes back to the whole Arsenal thing. Okay, this is affecting every club apart from, say, Chelsea and Man City, but the owners want the clubs to be run like a business, and that doesn't mean having to pump loads of money into it every time you have a little panic. You know, it means riding it out and making.
Well, it's like any business. When you want to lower your outgoings, you look at the costs that you control. So obviously, you know, that's your wages, the pay, your transfers, whatever it is. I think Villa are in quite a difficult position. Teams below them are actually, QPR have only lost one under Twitchy. Reading got a good result yesterday, and Southampton are moving their way out, and Wigan, we all know about Wigan. Just on the Wigan front, our last game of the season is Wigan at home. Oh dear, not Wigan alike. Wigan alike the last 5-6 games of the season.
So the thing is, you can say to Arsenal, are Arsenal absolutely petrified of that situation, which is why they're not spending the money we've got? Is that what they are? They that scared?
We're never going to get relegated, are we, from the Premier League? I'd be amazed if that happened.
Yeah, no, but Rich, Villa were, a couple of seasons ago, Villa were challenging us for the Champions League spot, right? So,
well, they were punching above their weight.
Why were they though? They were there, weren't they?
They had the players. That's the thing.
That's a good players. They're
relying on that Benteke now, aren't they?
Yeah, but all they're doing is lumping it up to him, and he's trying to do too much on his own.
Yeah,
because
they've become the new long ball team, haven't they? Yeah. Where did I read that?
Surprising, really,
because
Lambert played decent football for Norwich last year. But
there's a stat about Benteke that he's won the most aerial duels in the Premier League, but he's also lost the most as well.
That says a lot. Says a lot about the way they're playing. Every single play of theirs is just a lump up forward, isn't it?
Yeah. Sure. So you're not hopeful then of any players coming in?
I think we will. I think
there'll be maybe. I reckon one player will come in.
What, 17-year-old from?
No, I reckon we'll spend a few.
The next big thing.
I think they might strengthen the marketing team.
I've not really been interested. I'm not really interested or looked at it. If someone comes in, the expectations now are just so low on that front.
We've been.
We'll get kids. We always do get a couple of kids coming.
We've been linked with that. I think his name's Lopez, and he's been playing up front with Falcao at Atletico.
Loic Remy,
but the Lopez fella. If you look at his stats, he scored like 25 goals in 150 games. His stats ain't that brilliant. His stats ain't that good.
No.
To be quite honest, if we sign Theo up for a good few more years, I think Wenger would be happy, and that'd be it. And then there'll be questions.
No, you need another striker.
No, I know we do. But
we need another striker.
We
got Giroud, and that's it.
Oh, hold on a minute. Diaby's coming back.
Sorry. My most favourite saying that is like having a new player. That's what he says every time. And then he comes back from injury, and then he plays for 60 minutes, and then he's off again for 6 months.
Yeah, on the post-match reports on Arsenal.com, there's worrying statements from the commentators saying that Diaby was controlling the midfield and how good he was, and I was just like, that sounds worrying for me. That means he's coming straight back in and then straight back out again.
Anyway,
we should just rip up his contract.
Cut our losses.
To be quite honest, the January transfer window is only good for the agents and Sky TV.
And Sky Sports.
Yeah, Jim White.
Yeah, that fella. That's it.
Idiot.
Once it's 11 o'clock.
The only good thing
And that annoying thing where you're going to have Redknapp hanging out of his car window.
Yeah.
So that's also Sam Allardyce.
The only good thing about having Jim White on transfer deadline day is that Natalie Sawyer's sitting next to him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you need her sitting next to him so you can translate what he's saying. Anyway, well, we've left obviously the City game till last, because as soon as this podcast is finished, we're jumping on the 277 straight down to Ivory Corner in the pub to before the game. So, your thoughts on the City game, boys? First of all, the stupidness around ticket price.
Fuck off. Sorry. Van
Persie's just scored, by the way, against Liverpool. So, that's the reason why that obscenity has happened. Anyway, ticket prices. What was your thoughts on Man City sending back 1,000 tickets, even though they paid more when they played Spurs away?
They paid more, did they?
Yeah. £71.
Did they?
Spurs charged Manchester City £71 for tickets.
You're joking? I didn't know that.
That's shocking.
This is why it's...
But it's not. It's not the press don't pick up on things.
No, they won't, because
the press was so immature the way that they were reporting it. No one, you could tell, no one in the press had actually bothered to research it at all. It was just absolutely shocking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the flip side, you was getting your Swansea ticket, the league game, for £23.50.
Yeah, but there's a bit of a controversy about that. The Swansea ticket.
Yeah, but all FA Cup home games are Category B.
Yeah, they're stated.
It
says it. Yeah, it says
that. It's not willy-nilly.
They're not making it up as they go along. It says it on there. Yeah.
All FA Cup games are Category B.
And they have to do that to protect the season ticket holders.
Yeah, and also they not only that, they have to think about the opposing team, because they get revenue as well.
And yeah, exactly. And then if we tried to say that we wanted to do our tickets for £25 for a cup game, the other team would turn around and say no.
A bit like Tottenham did for the semi-final of the League Cup.
Yeah, they'll turn around and say no. I think they should be higher.
And we all had to pay 45
You get someone
quid
like
or whatever.
Shrewsbury Town or Crawley Town turning up to a big team, and you try pulling that Category B away from them. That's crippling them. You can't do that.
West Ham are complaining as well, because the FA Cup the game the other week, they charged 20 quid to Man United supporters, and then for the replay, Man United charging 40.
That's why Man United are Man United.
But no one picks up on things like that.
But the other side of the coin is...
Except when it falls on Arsenal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The other side of the coin is every away game that we go to, we're Category A. So
yeah.
It
cost me 200 quid to go Man City away, and it cost me 200 quid to go Schalke away. What that one at?
And what was it?
Well, yeah, but you are a bit of a pisshead.
Fulham and West Ham.
I drunk exactly the same on both occasions.
Oh, fair enough.
You do have a limit.
Well, my understanding was that I was stumbling and I kept knocking drinks over both games. So that's how I measure the amount I've drunk.
I mean, Fulham and West Ham charged 50 quid a ticket over the last year or so, isn't it? We've been.
Yeah. QPR was. How much was QPR this?
50 quid, wasn't it? 51 quid, was it?
Oh, it was more than that, I think. 59 quid.
That's the Briatore legacy still there, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So I think all this, I know ticket prices is some people paid 126 quid for today's game, which is obscene. It's too much money for a game of football. Let's be honest. 62 quid is too much money for a game of football.
It is.
But Arsenal are consistent about how they do things. It's all laid out before the season starts.
That's a crazy thing with Arsenal. The crazy thing is that they were saying that if you go to every game, the amount that you pay this season would be no different to last season, right? But the problem is, of course, there's the people who can't make every game. And say there's someone who can only make 6 games a season, and they just so happen to be the Category A games, then they're of course going to have shelled out a hell of a lot more money for those this season than what they did last season. But you can't blame the club for it. I mean, on paper, when you say the cheapest ticket for that game is 62 quid, I mean there's something wrong. Something sounds wrong there.
Yeah.
The cheapest ticket is 62 quid. That something does sound wrong there. But as season ticket holders, we're kind of immune from that.
Yeah.
We've had, alright, fair enough, I know our season tickets are expensive, but we've only had, one price rise in 5 years or 6 years.
How many other clubs in the Premier League include 8 cup games on their season ticket?
No.
7 cup games. Yeah, no,
Seven.
Yeah.
Seven.
And what
Well,
was
no
the
one
other
does,
thing?
but whenever the comparisons are made, that's never
That's
never mentioned.
Yeah.
You know,
We offer the
That's a
biggest
couple of hundred
package.
quid easy, isn't it? It's 200 or 300 quid.
And the rest. And the
Yeah.
rest.
What was the other thing that Arsenal come out with? 13 clubs will come to the Emirates to pay less than when we go to their ground.
Yeah.
13 teams.
Yeah.
Shocking.
So I think this
So have
is
some of that, Sky
this is a
Sports.
media driven argument against Arsenal. I think.
As I said before,
Obviously, there are issues around Arsenal's ticket prices, which we all know about. I think if you're a season ticket holder, you know my ticket works out around 40 quid a game. But obviously, there are lots of people that ain't. So it's always going to be a dividing issue. I think.
I think the other thing to say about the ticket price thing is it's funny that the media picked up on it, because I didn't see the Man City fans particularly making a big thing about it. It was only a couple of days ago that someone retweeted that Man City had returned tickets.
Yeah.
They weren't particularly making a big thing about it.
No. It was just
I think
Sky,
it does,
wasn't
obviously,
it? Sky again.
it does need to be mentioned, but of course you can't get away from the fact that if you've got players earning ridiculous amounts of money, clubs are going to have to put ticket prices up to fund some of that gap.
Well, as John said, I think Arsenal away supporters probably pay more money to see their team away than any other.
Well,
club.
Man United, they're top clubs like Man United.
But they're all in touching. Like if Man United are playing Liverpool, there's 30 miles between them.
All right, well, in terms including travel as well.
Yeah, including travel and everything. There's Arsenal fans and we sell out all the time. Have a massive expense. Well, we know we've how many times have we gone away? So, what do you think about today's result, though, guys? We've only got a couple of minutes left, so
we'll win. We will win.
Man City haven't beaten us at home for a long time.
I've scored in 4 years.
They've said that Wenger's come out and said that he thinks it's going to be an open game, but I think that's all rubbish again. I think it's going to be a tight game.
Going to park the bus like they normally do, Man City, when they come to Arsenal. But there's no tour. Both the Tourés are out.
No Aguero.
I think they've overdosed on slimming pills again.
Oh dear.
Nasri's out and Aguero's out. So the nutcase could play again. Balotelli.
I don't think he will. I don't think he will play him. But
Dzeko's
up front.
dangerous, but I think it'll be 2-1 Arsenal.
I agree with you.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope we again. As Mike. This is Mike's big thing. Start quick.
Yes.
Start quick. Get in their faces. Attack them, rather than just that lazy, slow start that we have to a game.
it's
And
like
then
a
go
warm-up, isn't
behind.
it? It's like a
But
warm-up.
start quick at every forms of the game, defending and attacking,
Yeah.
everything. Just start
They've
with some sort of...
Well, for me, it's the urgency. For me, when we're at risk the most is when we're not in possession of the ball, because we do not close down enough from the front. From the forward positions, sometimes it's too lazy, and I just really, I just really want us to make sure that we start quick. So 2-1, you reckon, Dan?
2-1, yeah,
Mike?
definitely. Yeah.
I reckon it'd be another 1-0, I reckon.
Yeah,
Stu?
2-1 Arsenal.
John?
I don't know doing scores. I can see us... I can see us doing a win, but I can't do scores. I can't do scores. Too nervous with it.
Well, I think it'd be a tight game. I think it'd be 1-0 Arsenal. So I'll be happy with that. Anything else from anyone?
I'm good.
No, team of the year. FIFA team of the year. Not one English player.
It's nonsense.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
Yeah.
Bear in mind they've got did they have a thing in there? Ramos, even though he's been sent off
Ramos was
28.
the most shocking.
Was this
bands.
the actual, not the PFA one?
FIFA.
FIFA
team of the year. Casillas
FIFA.
voted Ramos as best player in the world.
FIFA.
That says
I
something.
wonder why, that's probably why Mourinho put him on the bench.
Shocking.
Just make what?
Daniel
I know
Alves.
he's but Van Persie wasn't even mentioned.
But Verse, I know, well.
There you go.
Anyway, well, on that note, let's drink up.
Yeah.
And start making our way to the game, boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. Obviously, download it on iTunes if you can. And that's it, really. Enjoy the game. Let's hope up the Arsenal. Let's hope we get 3 points today and beat them Sky Blue Muppets. Come on, Arsenal.
Up the Gunners.